Well, he's a cutie pie. I might put him in Potomac. Okay, yes. Yeah, he can come right on to Potomac.
Sky Squad, what's up? It's your boy DJRichieSkye. We are back with another video. We're back in the building. Back in the building. Y'all know we got a couple of things to talk about today. Let's go ahead and stage dive into the topics, okay? We're going to be talking about CANDIACE Dillard's wild Twitter tirade, okay, and why that's significant at this point. We're also going to be discussing Brandy Glanville, and we're going to go inside the actual three-way that she had and some other tea that she's revealing. And then we're going to be talking about Garcelle Beauvais. She's giving us the details surrounding this whole production shutdown with the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. Oh yes, we got some things to discuss today, okay? Before we get into that, subscribe, like, share, comment, do all those good things, and join the texting community if you want more information on every time a new video drops. Now, with that being said, let's go ahead and stage dive into today's topics. So first things first, we're going to be talking about Brandy Glanville, okay? Now, Brandy Glanville, you guys know that we talked to you guys about a month ago about the rumors that were circulating that alleged that Brandy had some type of three-way or some type of relation type situation with Kim Richards. We also touched on the fact that there was also some speculation that there was also some intimacy between her and Carlton Gebbia. Now, you guys may remember Carlton Gebbia. She was a one and done on Real Housewives of Beverly Hills for season 4. She was a Wiccan, and she was also the nemesis of Kyle Richards, okay? Not sure if you guys remember that at the time or not. Well, anyway, Brandy and Carlton were very, very good friends, okay? And it looks like Brandy and Kim Richards were very good friends as well. As I say, were, okay, is the optimal word here, because Brandy reveals that Kim Richards is not talking to her right now, okay? Because of these rumors and these allegations going around about the two of them hooking up, okay? Now, I would be mad if I was Kim Richards too, because here's the thing about Brandy Glanville. I feel like she brought a lot of this on herself, because this is one thing that you don't do. When you have relations with somebody that you know, friend, castmate, whatever the case may be, nobody's talking about that stuff. Nobody's bringing that stuff out to light, because ultimately at the end of the day, what that could have done was that could have ruined Denise's relationship with her husband, as well as her family, breaking that sort of structure up. And I just kind of feel like it was low down and dirty what Brandy did to her, despite the fact that, you know, it could or it could not have happened. Who knows what the case may be. Now, personally, I kind of think that maybe something did happen, but Denise just may not have wanted to talk about it, which I respect as well, because I think it's just kind of like G-code. You don't gossip and talk about people that you've had relations with. Nobody should be doing that. I think it's scuzzy, it's grimy, it's nasty, it's dirty. That's just my opinion, okay? Now, as a result of all this, Kim Richards is no longer speaking to her. Now, actually, if you guys may recall, during the season, it was Kim Richards who stood staunchly by her side as she outed Denise Richards. I guess it was good for the goose, was not good for the gander, because Kim Richards didn't like it when all of a sudden she was in the hot seat with allegations as well. So it just goes to show, you gotta watch how you move, you gotta watch who you move with, and you gotta watch the things that the people around you are doing. Is she moving in a grimy way with somebody else? Because guess what? That whole situation could pop back around to you. Now, let's get back down to it. She said that Kim Richards is not talking to her. She said that she was upset about the three-way rumor, and Brandy said, "Are you joking?" She also goes into detail and says that Carlton and her fooled around, but it was after her and Carlton's husband split up, and they had a wild night, okay? Again, here we are spreading more about people's tea and who they done slept with and who they done been with and whatnot. It's not cool, okay? And then she says, "Dear whoever represents Denise Richards for PR and continues to feed untruths to blogs, I have never had a three-way with Kim Richards. She is one of my best friends, and that's it. This is hurting our friendship. Please stop," okay? Now, again, there's no need in blaming all of this on Denise Richards. You have to blame a lot of this on yourself. Anytime you run around opening your mouth and spilling the beans about the situations that should remain private, or otherwise telling falsehoods, then you got to be prepared for the backlash to come back to you at some point in time, okay? Because which again, it was just dirty. It was just dirty. But let's move on to that good Garcelle Beauvais, okay? Garcelle Beauvais is giving us all of the tea as it relates to what's going on with the production shutdown for the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, okay? She said this on The Real. She said, we shot for Housewives last Tuesday. Tuesday night, we got home and found out that a few people in our crew tested positive for the Rona, okay? Now, she said we do all the protocols. We get tested at least 3 times a week. We get tested before we shoot. You know, my kids get tested. I get tested. Anybody who's in my household. And you know, we did the right things. But at the same time, it just shows you that you can touch something. You can, you know, it's not necessarily just from people, okay? She says, hopefully everybody will be healthy and we're down for a few weeks, but then we'll be back to work, okay? Now, we know that Kyle Richard did come down with something last week ahead of the Thanksgiving holiday. She did not reveal what she was suffering from, but later on, she was seen out and about doing the shopping on a shopping and excursion, so I'm guessing it was not the Rona, okay? So there you have it. That's what's going on with the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills being shut down. I want to stage dive right now into what's going on. Well, I guess let me ask you guys this question. Do you think it was just someone from the crew who caught the Rona in this situation? Because if you notice in all of these scenarios, okay, with the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, with the Real Housewives of Atlanta, with the Real Housewives of New York City, it was always a crew member that caught it. You know what I'm saying? And why? I just have a hard time believing that it's just these crew members that are out here running around catching and spreading this thing, okay? I just refuse to believe that. And I say that because I feel like that makes it seem like the people in the crew are being careless. And I just don't want that to be the case because the people that work in production, they work extra hard too. Anyway, I want to move into what we got to talk about with Miss CANDIACE Dillard, okay? We're going to get into that tea right now. Now, I will tell you guys the truth. I have been refusing to talk about these issues that deal with CANDIACE. You know, a lot of times people feel like, you know, well, you come down real hard on CANDIACE, yada, yada, yada. And it's mostly because I feel like a lot of times CANDIACE does these things to herself, okay? I feel like, you know, it is one thing to want to clap back at somebody, and I get it. You know, people will come at you crazy online. People will say all types of things to you, especially if you are a public figure or you're doing something in the public eye. People have a right to comment, and people are going to express their opinions about whatever it is that you're saying or whatever it is that you're doing. However, as a public figure, at a certain point in time, it's up to you to understand and be mature enough to know that you cannot respond to everything, okay? That's the first thing that I want to start with saying. But let's get into the story because I want to let you guys know what's going on. She is on a wild tangent on the Twitter, okay? In response to something that Monique said in the episode, CANDIACE wrote on Twitter. She said, I made it legal because like they do in the zoo, you made it, but keep gaslighting. It's what we expect from your kind. Now, I actually saw this the other day and I thought to myself, you know, I hate these specifications about and this sort of innuendo that another black woman is some kind of something, and it's always related to some type of animal. And I guess I just feel like, you know, it's one thing to say I made it legal because I was disrespected, point blank, period. You can say something like that, and I feel like that's not below the belt. That's her speaking whatever she feels like her truth is. And granted, I cannot tell somebody how to say what they feel and what they want to say. But I do think, again, as a public figure, you have a responsibility to speak in such a way that is not derogatory and foul. You know what I'm saying? So then a viewer said this. Be careful. Remember the last time you told someone to try you and you got popped. I'd be careful what I say in the best of the moments, okay? Now, I don't know if this was in regards to the preview clip in which we see CANDIACE yelling at someone in the teaser for the next episode. I wish you would. And so CANDIACE responds, shut the F up, okay? And so the person responds back and says, you mad? And then CANDIACE responds, no, but you should be careful before you get dealt with. Now, I'm not necessarily quite sure what that means, but it sounds, I don't know. Y'all infer from that what you will. All right. So then a person, Bravo Babe, says, referencing another woman of color as being in the zoo is so vile, referring back to Candiace's earlier statement. So then Candiace responded back and says, your existence is so vile. When you get to enjoy explaining how harassing a black woman ad nauseum on Twitter for no reason at all doesn't qualify you to burn in. So then the Bravo babe responds back and says, so threaten my existence and then sentence me to... They say, how do you not get sued? Speaking of, let me just find my lawyer right quick. And so at that point, Candiace says, street rats can't afford lawyers. Make sure you tell them you're a fan. Okay, so again, you know, I have done my best to try to stay out of this element of what we've seen from Candiace on social media, because I just feel like I've grown weary of having to have this discussion. And I feel like a lot of you out there just refuse to understand exactly why this is so wrong, okay? Now, I get it. Again, I say, you know, if someone comes at you on Twitter or on social media, if you are a public personality, I feel like you should just rise above it. That's just my standpoint. And that's kind of how I view things at this point in time. Even me myself, when people come at me crazy, and I'm just sitting here on YouTube, if people come at me crazy, the last thing that I do at this point in time is respond to that, because I just feel like it's low vibration and I'm not trying to go down that low, okay? With that being said, I also feel like the same has to be true for Candiace, because I feel like at a certain point in time, one of the things that you have to learn is when you're on these types of platforms and you're booking these kinds of deals and you're working for a network, is because you ultimately get paid because of the advertising that's done on the platform, right? So what I mean by that is this. Advertisers pay to have their ads shown on Bravo TV shows or on network shows in general. And so if there's no advertisers, then, you know, you don't get paid that much, or the show ceases to exist, right? So one of the things that you have to always do is you kind of have to sort of manage, you know, what you say and what you do in the public spotlight, right? So you don't want to be out there talking greasy and crazy to people, because guess what? As Dorinda once said, say it, forget it, write it, regret it. And the internet at this point in time is now full of tweets that have come from Candiace, for which I feel like she should be apologizing for it. But at the same time, she continues to do these same things. And I feel like people find it offensive. And I had somebody comment on one of my videos, on something on Instagram, and they asked me, how do I reconcile watching this show and enjoying her as a character with the things that she says online? Because to a certain degree, we have to look at this in the same way that we look at Kelly Dodd. I can't watch Real Housewives of Orange County because of the vile things that Kelly Dodd says online as well. And I feel like there are a lot of other people who feel the same. So the same question comes up with Candiace. How do I reconcile watching someone and enjoying a show on, you know, but also knowing the things that they're saying online, and why isn't anything being done about it? That's a good question for me, because I feel like something should be done about this. I do feel like at a certain point in time, I think that the network or the production company, someone needs to have a conversation with her about how to interact with fans on Twitter, how to interact with fans on social media. I feel like every Bravo celebrity and every reality show star needs to at some point learn this lesson about how to respond to the fan community on a social media platform. And I feel like this is where PR comes in. PR usually has discussions with the cast about how things work before a show is put out there. And they will usually coach you through how to respond in interviews, what not to talk about, what to talk about. One of those things that should be added, I think, at this point in time, in order to avoid these types of things in the future, is having PR have discussions with each cast member and say, listen, this is the code of conduct that we must have across the board. You may interact with each other in a certain type of way. You can take things to a certain place, but don't go and cross this line. And I feel like that would definitely cover, you know, these types of issues so that they don't happen in the future, right? I think that was really all I had to say about that whole situation. And I do want to end it with this. You know, what people say to you is their karma. But what you say back to other people is your karma. And so if you believe in karma, and if you believe in, you know, you get what you put out, I feel like if you govern yourself with that level of thought, then you will find yourself living better. And that's just that on that. Sorry this video was so long, but I had a lot to say about this whole issue because I feel like it's important to talk about. With that being said, make sure you guys subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell button, and I will catch you in the next video.